Episode 20 of All the Horrible Things. A Walk in the Park edition.
Did you see that?
It?
Did you see
Jurassic Park
that?
Scene.
I just needed to label the files differently so I could tell the difference between which link was which.
No, I like that one. It was a walk in the park for me as a fan to watch this new one, but I
Yeah.
know a lot of people are having some issues.
A lot of people,
Issues with this final one.
it's got mixed reviews, which is not hurting its box office numbers. You know, it's
No.
doing just fine, which is all they probably care about.
As long as it took down Top Gun, that's all I care about. Quality be damned, just take down Top Gun from the number one, please.
I haven't even seen
I'm sorry,
Top Gun.
I'm not a Top
No,
Gun fan. Nor I. But what's really ironic is, like, since the pandemic started, nobody's invited me to the movies. And then out of nowhere, I get invited to go see Top Gun by multiple people. I'm like, but I don't want to see Top Gun.
That's interesting that that's the thing that's bringing people back in. But
I don't get it.
I've heard good things about it, and yet I'm still like, yeah, I'll get to it, I guess. I mean, I still feel like I need to watch it, but Jurassic Park.
Did you like the first one?
No.
No, me neither. So I'm not going to bother at all.
I think
I lived way too close to that Scientology center to be going to the movie theater for Mr. Cruise. Sorry. Unless there's Edge of Tomorrow 2, then I'm there.
Yeah.
But otherwise.
I like the Edge of Tomorrow movies, or movie. And there should be another one.
But we talking JP today.
We're talking Dominion.
Dominion, yes. And then we'll retread some of the more horrific moments, because this is all the horrible things. So I was very curious to kind of go back and see what parts of the series could actually be considered horror.
Yeah.
And not sci-fi only, and not just the morality tale that first one is, and not the family romp that some of it is too. I think we want to focus in on the horrors in the previous ones, but first let's talk a little Dominion, shall we? I noticed on your
Letterboxd
rating it was 2.5. Letterbox, thank you. Letterbox, you gave it 2.5 stars.
Yes.
Out of 10, right?
No.
No, out of 4. Out of 4.
No, actually out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Then that's worse. Okay.
That
what
makes
works for you?
Okay, I liked the moments that felt like horror. You know, I really liked some of the new I guess environments, if you will, because this movie takes place in northern Italy. And
right. Malta.
I really liked, you know, seeing the ice scene. I thought that was a lot of fun. I think that was sort of new.
Swimming dinosaurs. You haven't seen it since Jurassic Park 3. It's Spinosaurus, and he was not a very aerodynamical,
right,
or aquadynamical swimmer.
And
like this one was.
Yeah, this one was you know, kind of like what you see in like mock-ups of new dinosaurs. There's a good chance some of them had feathers. You know.
Yeah, I think the majority did.
And I thought this specific.
That's why I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I thought
I'm excited. It's Jurassic Park. I'm getting excited. I don't know.
I really felt that this dinosaur was one of the scarier ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think it's the Atrociraptor. I know the Atrociraptors are what are released in Malta. Is that the one that is in the ice scene?
They're the same, because
that's a different one.
I think so. Yeah, I think
it might be Deinonychus then.
Okay,
it's possible that was the Deinonychus. But yeah, that was cool with the feathers, because it did give it kind of a new ominous, like legit factor that, you know, they call those first ones essentially just theme park monsters, because they're not really how they looked. But this one, I think you're absolutely right, did a better job of representing what dinosaurs actually look like.
Yeah.
Granted, they are still, you know, spliced with frog DNA, unless there's something I missed where Wu's like, I've perfected the technology and I no longer need to use frog DNA. That's not how Wu sounds at all.
No, but I appreciated it. I mean, we definitely knew that you weren't the one saying that.
Exactly.
That wasn't your
Frankie,
own
maybe.
personal belief. Yeah. So, I mean, I will say the movie overall did a good job of combining the old with the new, bringing the original cast with the new cast.
Just logistically getting those two groups together in a way that makes any sense whatsoever is a hard task. and it was half viable for me.
Yeah.
Didn't fully buy it, but it was half viable. Essentially, Maisie was the crux, right?
Yes.
Without Maisie, they could not have met.
And
I got mixed feelings about Maisie.
Yeah, I was going to say that character, I really didn't know she was going to be as important in this, in Dominion, but was really curious how they were going to bring her back into the fold, and she ends up being like the missing link, if you will.
Right.
Not only for the DNA, but for like, you've got Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt actually referring to her as their daughter.
Yes, found family, though. I did appreciate that. That went back to the roots of why the first one most specifically worked the best. Is because you care about the characters because they were a found family.
Yes.
Unlike Jurassic World 3 specifically, where they're really pushing this, let's stick with the genetic family and bring back Taya Leone and William H. Macy with their little brat kid on that island. I did like that aspect of it. I don't hate Maisie with those two. Granted, as the series has gone on, I have liked their characters less and less. Chris Pratt's.
What do you?
And Bryce Dallas.
So what? Yeah. I mean, I think when you bring the original cast members in, you don't really care about.
You can't compare. That's true.
You don't.
That's true. I might actually say that I've grown to like Bryce Dallas's character a little bit more.
Sure.
I feel like she was given a little more to do in this one. She was not running around in heels for the whole movie.
Right.
So, and she has one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie with the Tyrannosaurus. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the one with the Freddy Krueger one. The Wolverine dinosaur. She has that to me was maybe the most horrific of all the moments in the new movie Dominion.
Yeah.
Like, that to me was stalkerish because it seems like that was not even a Metasaurus. I don't think it wanted to eat her. I think it was just territorial and wanted to kill it.
I completely agree.
It did with the deer.
It got rid of the deer. It got it out of there because that's its food. And yeah, it wasn't a carnivore. It was a herbivore. And I thought that was interesting, for being what looks like an apex predator.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I know I'm more familiar with the Erlikosaurus, which is very similar in looking. Doesn't have quite the same bird face. It's more of a dinosaur, but it still has those three big razor claw things. And I know that's a Vegisaurus. So just the idea of killing to get that territory back, to own your dominion, if you will, makes it much more horrific. This is something I was thinking about when I was trying to determine these horrific moments in it, is to me, when dinosaurs are just trying to eat people for food, scary but not horrific.
Right.
Horrific is when they have additional motives. Even territory to me is a little scarier because they just want to snuff you out. It's not about their sustenance. It's about getting rid of you. And then certainly in the earlier movies, you see the intellect of the dinosaurs a lot more. And when they're killing just to kill, that's much more horrific to me than when we have these dinosaurs just hungry.
Yeah, I'll agree. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because that's when it's more like an action adventure movie, when you're dealing with like a tiger coming after you.
Right.
But when you have dinosaurs using their intellect, that's when I get a little spooked.
Yeah. And I understand they needed to get Maisie, like they needed to get her to the new facility, but the means of doing so was a little bit over the top. I mean, the poachers who were just stalking the family.
It really ripped me out early in the movie. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
This is feeling really B suddenly. When you got Delacroix and his hillbilly boys.
Exactly. Those characters were just like, okay. So now in this new world of like man and dinosaur coexisting, we've got people who are just like in the business of, but they looked like, like you said, B movie, like thugs.
Yeah. Their motive was just money. They were one dimensional.
Yeah.
Really disappointing. And then just the whole idea of like this, I love Lewis Dodgson, don't get me wrong. Lewis Dodgson, especially in the Lost World novel, is such a dynamic, interesting character. He's such a good villain. I was really, really happy to see him back.
Yes.
Granted, I don't know if you're aware, but the guy who played him in that first movie, he's like in jail now.
Oh, really?
That's why they had to recast it. Yeah, he's in jail for like pedophilia stuff.
Oh,
if I'm not mistaken. I know, I know.
Come
So
on.
I was excited because I thought this new guy plays Louis Dodgen really well. Granted, he's not as rough and tumbling as he is in the novel, because in the novel The Lost World, where Dodgson is the main villain, he's going onto Isla Sorna, that second island, Site B, to collect eggs. So him and two other guys that he brings with him are they essentially have this amazing weapon that has a sound that makes the dinosaurs like unable to think. Like it's an audio weapon. So the dinosaurs can't even like think straight, and that's when they rush in and they grab the eggs while the dinosaurs are so distracted by
That's
this
cool.
skull just being shattered. Um, and it was really cool, and he was definitely a little more like manly, I guess you could say, because
Okay.
this Dodgson is certainly an amalgamation of Zuckerberg and Tim Cook
Right.
and all these tech guys, like Jobs-ish too, and what's his name, Microsoft guy,
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. He's like an amalgamation of all of them. So in a way, I think a lot of people were just excited to see him go the way he goes, because
I think that's
just, like personified our villains.
I think that's one of the common themes in the entire series, though, is like the big payoff for the villain, who is a terrible person. Like, it's so much more rewarding when, you know, they're literally trying to get away with it. And the dinosaurs, I mean, this goes back to the first series with Wayne Knight's character, you know?
Right. That's what I would say about this new one more than anything. For me, I could see Colin Trevorrow, as he's writing this, watching all the previous movies and picking out the best bits and then smashing all those best bits into this new plot.
Yeah.
Because there were so many scenes that literally ripped from the previous movies, that I really did feel like it was like a puzzle for the fans being put together. Do you know what this scene is referring to in the previous films? Do you know what this one is referring to? I mean, even, for example, Jurassic Park 3 is just such shit.
Yeah,
but if you can recall at the end, when she gets her new plane, Lawanda, was that the character's name? When she gets her new plane, she spray paints on it.
Yeah, too.
In the way that they do in Jurassic Park 3 when they spray paint that charter plane to make it look like a dinosaur. Like, unless you've seen Jurassic Park 3, the amount I have, you're probably not going to put two and two together and see that as the callback it is.
Sure.
There was a lot of subtle moments, and that's why I think I gave it that 3 stars instead of that 2.5 stars, which is still very disappointing for me, because
I bet
I anticipated wanting to go back and see this maybe even 2 more times, but I might go back only 1 more time to go watch it in that 40X, where it's the chair that kind of like spins you around,
yeah,
and then
that
they got water
fun.
in your face in the winds. Because when you got the Dilophosauruses, I want water in my face when the characters are getting spat on. I want to be spat on by movie theater water. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, not COVID scary at all.
It was probably too long, and I think a lot of that had to do with the early scenes of the Maisie kidnapping stuff.
Right.
And it was a little too action adventure-y. It was.
It felt very much like they were
exactly.
I was just gonna say, like, they were trying to mash up an Indiana Jones movie, because that is who they want the Chris Pratt character to be.
I know.
There was way too many scenes with Chris Pratt putting his hand up.
He was using the Force, man.
I mean, that's kind of what it feels like, and it's a little insulting. I'm like, I mean, even Jeff Goldblum's character pokes fun at it. Like, you're trying to speak to, like, you're trying to train these raptors.
You're friends with the dinosaur.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum saved this movie.
100%.
He is responsible for at least 1 of my 3 stars, because he's so great. And just even there's another callback moment when he's in the first movie when he's lying down with his shirt off. Well, there's that scene where he's got like one too many buttons down, and
that was
I think
great.
Bryce Dallas Howard kind of looks at him, why are you showing so much chest hair?
Yes.
He's like, oh, then buttons it up. That was great. To me, what was redeemable about this movie was that it was made for the fans. But I could see, as someone who wasn't as batty about the whole franchise as I am, being like, what the hell was this? This was such a B movie. But it was better than Jurassic Park 3. I'm sorry.
Correct. It was. Well, where would you put
Frankly, because of Ellie Sattler and stuff. That's really tough for me.
I was just going to say, on the most 3 recent.
I feel like it's not going to be an accurate placement right now because it's so fresh in my head, and I
Okay.
want to put it higher than it maybe deserves.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say obviously the first one is the best. I might go as far to say that then the Lost World, just because it was right off the heels, and I have personal connections with the Lost World. I remember because I was a junior in high school, and
Yeah.
it was that Thursday before it opened, and I didn't know I was going to see it, but my dad was like, at 10:30 at night, we're going to the 11 o'clock show. I already bought the tickets.
That's
like one of
great.
the best memories I have with my dad. Super tired, and then the next day, all the kids were like asking me, "How was it? Was it good?" And of course, I thought it was better at the time than I now see it as. But I have those additional affiliations.
Wow. Yeah. That.
I'd go Jurassic Park, Lost World. Probably, I want to say this Dominion, maybe. I don't know. I loved because it was 13 years until we got Jurassic World, but that did have so many flaws.
Sure. Sure.
I mean, Jurassic Park 3 is the worst. I love Act 2 of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Okay.
The second half, when it is more horror-y, when it just focuses on the Indoraptor stalking them, and it's like the Maisie in the bedroom with the Indoraptor crawling is
That's great. Yeah.
I love J.A. Bayona for his horror capacities. The Fallen Kingdom otherwise felt really disjointed to me, and too disparate, too dichotomized, right? It was two movies in one, and that didn't necessarily feel good, even though I liked the second half. And the volcano, it's like, why would John Hammond have put this on an island with an active volcano? How did he not know that?
Got a discount. Probably got a
That
good
drove
discount.
me crazy about the second one.
Yeah.
The discount. Well, it's funny because in the book he's leased the island. He doesn't outright own it. It is still Costa Rican territory.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Book. Very interesting. But yeah, I mean, I want to put this one in the middle. Let's just say that it falls in the middle for me.
Do you who are your favorite new characters in this movie? You think?
Dodgson. I love Dodgson.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed that Wu didn't get his comeuppance. How do you feel about Wu getting redeemed?
I think it was a nice ending, but like I was saying earlier, I think he still needed to pay for the things he did. But they clearly needed him to be able to pick up the work from Maisie's mom,
Right.
But yeah. I mean, that was where he
I really wanted to see him go.
Yeah.
Especially because in the book, I was expecting it to happen in this one, because this new one, Dominion, really pulls from the first book in ways that was unexpected for me. Specifically, conversations between Dodgson and Wu were almost identical to conversations between Hammond and Wu in the first novel.
Right.
Specifically, Wu wanted to just start anew. He's like, you know what? We've made these dinosaurs too real, and people don't know what dinosaurs really are. So why have we recreated these monsters, these beings, to then be such a hassle for us? Why don't I then go back to the drawing board and make them slower and stupider and more easy for us to handle, so we don't have Muldoon in the book? He's got a bazooka. You know what I'm saying? Because they're so worried about shit. But then you have a similar situation where he wants to reboot with Dodgson here, in a similar way. I really liked that. I liked Wu as the scientist in a way we haven't seen him in the last two movies as much. A little bit with Masrani in that first one, but he just seems so villainous in that second one where he's choppered away. I really was hoping, like in the book, he gets chomped by raptors.
Yeah.
Real good. But that didn't happen.
I'd have to say my favorite addition to this movie might be Ramsey.
Okay. Yeah, dude, the dude in Malta, right?
Yes. Well, no, Ramsey is the character, the actor from Archive 81.
Oh, Ramsey. Yes. He was amazing.
Yes.
I agree. What made you like him?
Well, I really liked that we kind of had no idea who he was. And then he actually had maybe some of the best, one of the best arcs, because we meet this guy who seems like he's this next in line to run the park. We find out that he's
right.
like smarter than Dodgson. And And then
it turns out that he's working with Mr. Bloom.
Yeah. I
Ian Malcolm.
I really liked that he had the best moral compass. You know, he had probably.
Yeah, and they could have easily not had that scene between him and Dodgson toward the end where Dodgson's like,
right,
we're going to do this together. We're going to restart it. Like Hammond does. And the guy's like, I'm not you.
Yeah.
I really did appreciate it because you didn't actually need that scene.
No.
I'm glad it was there because it did really make his character more well-rounded and you really understood where he's coming from. And I mean, he's kind of like the opposite of Nedry, right? Nedry sabotages Hammond in the first one. And Ramsey's sabotaging him, but for good versus for greed. And it's really the inverse of Nedry's character, I feel like.
Yeah. And I think when you got a character like that, you sort of are leaving the series open-ended where if you were to bring this back now, you've got somebody who, you know, has inside knowledge of basically everything.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure it's not coming back in any incarnation that it currently is, at least according to Trevorrow, who has the control over it. It's, you know, Spielberg didn't even show up on the set of this one like he had every single previous one, which I think might show a little bit. But as we were talking just a little bit before we started recording, I think the direction is a series. You know, you get, I guess it would have to be Peacock since that's Universal, right?
Yeah.
You get Peacock to do a prequel series. You see Hammond coming up with Lockwood, which Lockwood's not a character in any of the novels. Hammond had done it all himself in the novels. But I like the idea of these two guys dealing with these moral questions. And of course, Lockwood going on to clone humans as he does when his daughter dies prematurely. Or actually, no, it was her that did it. We think that Lockwood did it in that second one, but we come to learn that it was her in this one, which I appreciate. That redeems Lockwood because Lockwood had a little bit of moral ambiguity, but it turns out he might have been even chiller than Hammond. He might have been the good guy in that relationship.
It's interesting.
I would love to see the Hammond-Lockwood dynamic come to fruition, and specifically from the book, the way Hammond raised money for the park initially. He claimed he was able to genetically modify elephants to be these tiny little elephants.
Yeah.
And he went around with his tiny little elephant in the cage, and he got money from all these investors for Jurassic Park. But the truth was he was a scammer, and it was just a dwarf elephant. It wasn't even genetically modified. So he was claiming he could do something that he couldn't even do at that time.
Diabolical.
Hammond is a very, very complex character in the novels, and I would love to see a young Hammond. Because he's so good even as this geezer, but he's so lovable in this one. I wonder if with the property, having him be this like father of the dinosaurs, lovable character, because he dies in the book too. He has the most vicious death in the entire book. He's chomped down by compies a la Dita in The Lost World, where he's just swarmed by compies at the end. And they do a much better job of explaining how the compies have a poisonous bite, which they never talk about in the movie. It's similar to the Dilophosaurus in that they have that venomous bite. That's how they're able to take down larger prey, is because they'll bite you little nips, and then the next thing you know, you're on the ground paralyzed. And that's what happens to John Hammond, because he kind of like slips down a hill. Next thing he knows, he's being chopped by compies. Yes, so that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping we get this beautiful series that leads up to the first book.
Well, let me throw a rumor out there right now, since we're kind of talking about the future of the franchise. Have you heard the rumor about Fast and Furious meets Jurassic Park?
No, you're joking, right?
I'm not joking. I heard this rumor.
Does that make any sense?
Months ago. No, it does not make any sense, and I think it kind of came from the idea that, you know, the Fast and Furious franchise has kind of already done everything. I mean, although I think they could go to space, but if they were to,
I hold no. I don't think there's any credence to this.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my god. I would believe more in them going in the direction that they were initially supposed to go with Jurassic Park 4, because William Monahan, the screenwriter who wrote Gangs of New York, or no, the Departed. What's the one with Leo and Jack Nicholson? Is it The Departed?
That's The Departed.
Yeah,
that's
the guy who wrote The Departed.
Mm-hmm.
He was, after he won the Oscar for the screenplay for The Departed was then commissioned to write Jurassic Park 4. And his angle on it, you can find this online, the script. His angle on it was kind of close to what they started to do with teaching the dinosaurs to be military weapons.
Right.
But it was human dinosaur hybrids, like actual
disgusting
people that were half dinosaur, half human.
That's body horror. Yeah.
Soldiers. Body horror, exactly. Which I would rather have them go that direction than Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
other than the first one, I haven't watched any of them. It's not my bag at all. I mean, do you watch these movies?
Oh, yeah, because they're so over the top ridiculous.
Really? I'm proud of you that you're able to do that even.
Thank you.
I think they could. Wow.
Well,
how would they integrate them? Is it like...
I don't know. Are they both Universal? Are they both...
They are both Universal properties.
There you go. That's
Fast
all
and the
it
Furious,
takes.
I guess. At Universal Islands of Adventure, Fast and the Furious has a attraction that does horrible. It's the worst attended attraction at the whole park. So I would be surprised because the Jurassic World attraction at Universal Islands of Adventure is like one of their top draws.
Have you been?
And just the fact that that's such a big part of Islands of Adventure, I don't see them abandoning this series, the franchise. It's too much of a moneymaker for them. It's going to come back in some incarnation. I know you probably don't watch Camp Cretaceous on Netflix, the animated version. No. It's really good. It's surprisingly good if you're in animation at all.
Isn't it
characters are likable, and there's people that die. You know, there's the bad guys get chewed up in it, which is great, and it goes in directions you wouldn't expect it to, as well. There's only one more season, sadly, coming out in a month or so. But I thought it was a really good way to maybe pull in a younger audience, but at the same time appease those who just needed more, like me, because it takes place essentially right after the first Jurassic World.
Yeah, it's the same writer, isn't it? The Trevorrow.
I think he's a producer on it. I don't know how much he's written, but he definitely is a producer
Gotcha.
on it.
Gotcha.
And it's worthwhile. It's definitely worthwhile. I mean, oftentimes the kids in these movies are the worst part of the movie, but this mostly focuses on these 6 kids who are left behind after the park gets shut down. With trying to get back, trying to get someone to notice that they're there and need saving. But maybe excepting 2 of the 6 kids, I like the kids. They're really interesting archetypal variants that work for the island, and you just get to see so many more dinosaurs in that show.
Yeah, it's a very fun idea.
That itself is so fun.
Very
what
fun
else
idea.
worked for you in Dominion? What else was highlights for you? You know, my biggest highlight was?
What's that?
Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Ellie Sadler kissing. That was so good. You've been waiting for that for 19 years?
A long time.
23 years. Too long. Yeah, ridiculous.
Time.
Almost 30 years, right? 1993. So yeah, 29 years I've been waiting for those 2 to smooch.
Well, there you go.
I think is when I saw that first one.
I'm trying to remember. I think, weirdly enough, I had a science teacher bring in Jurassic Park and let us watch it in class one day.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was. It was.
You didn't see it in the theater then?
No, not the first one. No.
Wow.
I know.
I think I saw the first one 3 times in the theater. I saw the second one 3 times in the theater. I only saw Jurassic Park once in the theater. I think I saw Jurassic World twice in the theater. And I only saw Fallen Kingdom once in the theater. But I kind of want to go back and watch this one for the second time, just because this is a 30-year series for me that I've been waiting to resolve. And
well, I think like what
I'm not ready to let go.
All right, you don't have to. No one's making you. You mentioned though that you would see it in the 4D.
Yes,
and I think that's a great idea.
Yes, and I'm glad I saw it 2D first, because the only other time I've seen these 4DXs was Shang-Chi, and it jostles you around so much that it's almost hard to hear what's going on.
Interesting.
The actual plot, because you are so violently tossed about.
Like a roller coaster.
It is very much like a roller coaster. It's much more immersive and toss aroundable than you would ever expect from these chairs. It's worth the premium price, and that it really does. There should be seatbelts on it. Honestly, there should be seatbelts in these chairs, and don't think about like having a Coke or something there in your seat.
Don't have a drink. That's
gonna be all over
note.
you.
Good note.
But it's fun. If you have access to one of these 40RX, whatever they're called, definitely check them out. But only, of course, with action flicks. I don't think like Waiting for Godot is going to be all that exciting.
Well, maybe they don't even run every film in that.
No,
theater.
I don't think they do, because it does. There's like, that's what's so interesting is the engineers really have to have a story of the movement of the chair for the movie.
It needs
it's kind of fascinating in itself. That, this extra layer.
I bet Top Gun Mavericks in 4DX.
I'm sure that it is.
Okay,
which is interesting. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was going to say before I forget, I really did like the pilot character that they introduced. I think her name is great. Kayla. Is it Kayla?
Is the actor's name? Oh, okay. Maybe I just got it wrong. Kayla is the character's name?
I think so.
I know DeWise is the last name of the actress, I want to say.
I thought,
but I liked her a lot too. Yeah. I thought she was really interesting in the way that she kind of like lets Maisie get trafficked at first and then redeems herself.
Yeah. I mean, I really, I mean, she may have been the best part of the storyline. That's the action movie there,
Right.
Her real name is DeWanda Wise, and her character's name was Kayla Watts.
Okay.
I thought she was
honestly,
cool.
She was the only part with Chris Pratt that I liked, because I felt like all the scenes with the legacy characters were much more entertaining than the scenes with Chris Pratt specifically. As noted before, that one Bryce Dallas with the bird dinosaur was awesome. But Chris Pratt stuff really kind of left me wanting. Especially, I love Paralophosaurus, and that first scene where he's cowboy with the Paralophosauruses, and then he uses his hand like he does with the raptors on that, even though he didn't train that in the same way he did the raptors. It doesn't make any sense that he's using his hand like that, or that the dinosaur would know what the hell's going on.
I really felt the filming of that scene was very bad. If you pay attention, they try to make it look like he's on a horse. He is not on a horse. He is not bouncing up and down. He's just like, it's all like in his shoulders, and it's
God. I did notice that I tend to just look at the dinosaurs.
Yeah,
I'm pretty bad about that. But yeah, I didn't mean to skid over DeWise, because she was great. What did you think about them just slipping in the LGBTQ stuff?
Well, I think
it was very subtle.
It was very subtle about the redhead line, like redheads too, right? Isn't that what she said? And I think it was too safe. I think that it's too ambiguous, really, because in theory she could have been talking about a redheaded man.
That's true.
And I don't.
But they made a big deal leading up to it about how it's the first LGBTQ character in the Jurassic series, and literally all you get is that one line, "I like redheads too."
Yeah.
And you're supposed to infer that she was into Bryce Dallas.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I thought as an actor her performance was great, but yeah, the character was probably not fleshed out enough.
Right. Yes.
Speaking of Chris Pratt, really quick, how ridiculous! This is one of those moments where I'm like, oh brother, where he grabs Bryce Dallas Howard is up against the wall, and and all of a sudden, Chris Pratt just choke grabs the dinosaur.
The Dilophosaurus, right?
Like, are you kidding me? Did he just?
Yeah, that was really disappointing. In that fans have been waiting 6 movies to see the Dilophosaurus for the second time, and then you have hyper Christian Chris Pratt just grab it by the neck. Like he's the second coming. Granted, it was redeemed in that we get the Dilophosauruses for the second time in this movie, taking down Dodgson
with their black ink.
It was cool to see the Dilopho right in Claire's face. I just don't understand why he hadn't spit.
Yeah. Because she's.
I mean, that's why he grabbed the neck to stop the spitters.
Right.
But
it was. You're also implying he's incredibly strong.
That's true. Yeah. I wish I could love Chris Pratt like I used to.
Same.
Sadly, it's going to be tough. Even this next Galaxy, I'm a little less excited about, because he just doesn't hit the same for me anymore.
I know. He also has like a show coming out on Amazon where he plays a Navy SEAL.
Submarines?
Yeah.
Not too desirous to watch that either. But what I did like going back to DeWise's moments was the underground dinosaur black market.
That was fun.
That was cool.
That was fun. That
was very cool.
That to me felt like it was like you were almost in the Star Wars universe.
Yes, absolutely. It definitely had that cantina vibe.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
And there was some fun deaths around then when the dinosaurs escaped. Then they let the Atrociraptors out. How did you feel about the callback to the laser pointers?
Okay, so I mean, I understand that they needed to give that character who's from Severance.
Well, that's right, and she's from Dollhouse too. She tends to play very robotic women.
She's got a really great career that she picks fun roles. This was a fun villain. Also, I would describe this almost like a G.I. Joe villain, you know.
Yeah,
but I understand they needed to bring that technology back. It made sense that she was able to turn the dinosaurs on the people that she needed to.
She doesn't die though, right?
I don't believe so.
That's annoying because there was supposed to be this like Spielberg clause in all these Jurassic movies. Anyone who's a nefarious character, anyone who's done bad, gets it in the end.
Wait a minute. There might have been a scene where it was like maybe we don't see the death, but
it's insinuated.
I think so.
This is why I need to watch it a second time. But I remember there's a scene where like she could have gotten away, and then she like moseys back into the black market. Oh, whoops! I walked the wrong direction. Here are the people that are going to. It was so ridiculous. Similar moments with Claire, where she keeps like saying, "Wait," especially like when she was talking to DeWise and Kayla in the bathroom, and then Kayla's like, "I gotta go. I'm leaving." She's like, "But wait, and then she slowly walks out after. Wait. It was like, why? Why you having that?
I will say the scenes after that, the chase scenes were very exciting. Those were fun.
They were fun. You're absolutely right. They were fun, but
like an action movie.
Why we're talking about this and all the horrible things is I want more horror out of this series, and I want less fun. I want more horror. Yes, it is somewhat scary to have these horrible creatures chasing you in that nature, but it's cartoonish.
Yeah, it was very
have that
Bourne Supremacy or James Bond.
Yes. Right. It felt like almost he was trying to do what Stranger Things does with all these mashups of
genre
different series. Yeah. And I didn't like that. I was bummed. It was cool seeing the Allosaurus back because that's one of the ones that gets loose during the Malta breakout or whatever.
Yeah.
And did you see Battle at Big Rock, which was like the short released on YouTube, directed by Trevorrow?
Yes.
That was to tide people over. And that's when we got some Allosaurus. Because Allosaurus is a really cool dinosaur that doesn't get its dues. Right. You also see the Carnotaurus get loose then too, which is necessary because that's one of the Hasbro toys coming out. This is very brief. But you haven't seen the Carnotaurus since Jurassic Park 3, and that was in a very lackluster way, where they just escaped the attack between the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex, where the Spinosaurus does quick work of the T-Rex.
Yeah.
And then they're like running away, and there's this big pile of crap, and the Carnotaurus is like there, and the only reason the Carnotaurus doesn't attack them is because he's overwhelmed by the smell of the dino doo-doo. And that's it. Just like sniffs. He's like gross, and then walks away. The Carnotaurus is fun, and he has a big role in that Netflix cartoon. He's like the first season, he's like the main villain of Carnotaurus. So I gave that some credit. I did. What about the pterodactyl scene? How'd you feel about that?
I think it could have been more horrific.
Yeah.
You know,
I almost like the one with Masrani in Jurassic World better.
I know.
Where people get skewered.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that it got on top of the plane and then like ripped a hole down the middle as it did.
Yeah, I mean when you do something like that, you're almost setting it up for like this is what a pterodactyl can really do. And it's almost like it was just almost like a prop instead of a cool character that we could have seen more of.
Yeah, I think there should have been more of that. Granted, it was a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's true. Maybe there are deleted scenes.
A lot in there. But it
Mm.
did lead to the Claire with the Tyrannosaurus.
Right.
So
Right.
I love that scene. I don't know. There was just something about it with her hanging there and the way that the skull or the face of the dinosaur comes around her as she's just hanging there. I thought that was a really impactful
Yeah, that was
horror
cool.
moment.
Yeah.
One other moment that I really, really liked, even though it was like overly essential to the plot, was the locusts. And when the locusts specifically first attacked the kids in the barn, to me, that was maybe one of the scariest moments in
That's
the
a
whole movie.
great point, because I was thinking the same thing. Like this could have been its own movie. Was just the locusts and the swarm.
Yes. Yes. Because there was that French film I was recently talking about that dealt with these
Right.
killer locusts as well. And it definitely reminded me of that.
Right. Right.
Just to see them in the sky swarming like that. It was weird because you're like, it's a dinosaur movie and now we got bugs too. But
yes, but during the
because
Jurassic,
they had that Neolithic DNA in them, I thought it was kind of cool. It's like, why
I
not
think
go
so too.
outside of just dinosaurs and bringing stuff back? That's possible.
Well, sure. I mean, if you think about it, like those insects. We'll go back to the first one. The reason they even have Dino DNA are because of the insects that lived during the Jurassic period. So you're right.
Good callback. I didn't even think about that.
They're it's Jurassic Park, not Dinosaur Park. We could have seen anything from that time. But yeah, the locusts, because they were so large, they were terrifying.
That's true. I mean, it does take creatures from Jurassic, Triassic, and Cretaceous, which is interesting because I'm surprised they haven't used that Triassic business yet.
There you go. That's how
they've used the Cretaceous now, but
yeah.
Okay, the other dinosaur I do want to mention is the Dimetrodon, because I never ever thought that I would see a Dimetrodon in the Jurassic series. It's when they're in the tunnels.
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly. They were creepy.
It's like a mini Spino, essentially.
Yeah.
Smaller legs and kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, like almost weird hybrid of like an alligator because they were in these sewers.
It's just they have such strange stances. Where like it's I don't even know.
They're short.
It's hard to explain, like
legs.
a dog, but like I don't know. Yeah, short little legs. It is like an alligator, but the alligators are closer to the ground. These guys are like up a foot.
More kind of like a rodent, like in Princess Bride when they're in the fire swamp. The rodents of unusual size, ROUSs.
Yes, and okay, because frankly, they weren't that scary in what happens. There's so few deaths in this movie of consequence.
That's true.
That's something that I found.
That's true.
Kind of a bummer. But Dodgson's just willingness to let some of these people die, I found one of the more ominous features, because he doesn't necessarily seem like a villain the way he talks and all that stuff. I mean, he has some funny moments where he asks Ramses, you got any food on you?
Yeah.
Granola bar for me? That was great. Like I cracked up during that. I thought it was a really interesting, fun character, but that's what made it so unsettling for him to be like, well, we'll just let him die, you know?
That's a great point.
Kind of a unique take on a villain in that he was so aloof about murder.
Yeah, like whatever needs to happen happens.
Right. I appreciated that. That guy was great.
He was.
He got his comeuppance too.
He's a great actor. Campbell Scott, I think, is his real name.
Campbell Scott. Yes.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
You pretty much get every dinosaur you want to see. The compies are there very briefly in the black market when Chris Pratt, they just like are swarming him as he's going after Thoreau.
Yeah.
Or no, Delacroix, my bad, the guy who kidnapped Maisie. And let's just talk about that really quick. Let's talk about the most impactful deaths, because if you were to ask me, I think for me it's going to be Delacroix's death, because he's got one dinosaur on one arm, another dinosaur on the other arm, right? Before he gives up information to Pratt. And then you got the baryonyx coming in to eat his face. Which to me was probably the most impacting of all and maybe most gruesome. I'm trying to think. I mean, it's implied maybe that Dodgson and the Dilophosaurus is pretty bad too, but I would say in terms of actual gratuitous violence,
they didn't show.
It's got to be Delacroix.
He
took the kid.
They didn't show enough. You're right. This was probably the most violent.
It was the most tame. Yeah. Delacroix is the most violent.
Yes.
But in terms of the grander scene,
right.
Yeah, a lot of people die, but it's just off-screen deaths.
Correct.
Like
my point is, you don't see it.
Fishermen in the boat, the market bystanders. You kind of just see chomped just very briefly. The scooter guy in Malta specifically.
Right.
But there wasn't enough death for me. I'm
No.
sorry. I needed the dinosaurs to be more.
That's what we're there
ominous.
for. That is ultimately why
Yeah.
we see movies about dinosaurs and people. We want to see the crunching and the tearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which let's go back really quick to the old. Unless you want to talk a little bit more about Dominion.
No.
I'd like to talk about the deaths leading up to this, because that was one of the things that really let me down in this new one, is that I did not have the sort of impactful deaths that I associate the series with. Certainly in the first one, there's not a lot of death, but the death that is there is impactful and much more horrific than any of the other movies, I would say.
So
maybe not the first one. The first death we have in Jurassic Park is the guy who's the raptor wrangler.
right.
And he kind of gets sucked into the pen as they're loading up the raptor.
Yeah.
Get the whole shoot her. That one wasn't great, but it was a decent teaser, I guess. For you, which death in that first one hit the hardest?
Well, I mean, there's the most memorable death in the toilet.
Yes.
But Wayne Knight's death is, it's probably my favorite, just because this character is so slimy.
I can hear his scream.
Oh yeah,
I can hear his scream anytime I want to in my head.
Yeah, and on top of that,
times.
it's raining, it's muddy, the whole environment of that scene, and then he ends up. You think he's safe back in his Jeep?
Stick, stupid. Yeah, no, that was great. That being said, it is
Fetch.
so much more grisly, his death in the novel, because Dilophosaurus, and surprisingly they didn't really fix that in this new one with them, are supposed to be 9 feet tall.
Oh.
And you have these Dilophosauruses that are like 3 feet, maybe?
Yeah.
Which really is less impacting than you imagine if it was, bigger than a raptor with these frills. Because in the first one, it literally bites off Nedry's head in the novel.
Okay.
So you don't quite get that in this one. But that being said, that would have been less painful, I guess, than the way he went, just being like eaten alive, essentially.
Yeah.
I love Muldoon's kill. I think it's really cool the way he's hunted as the hunter.
Yep.
In the bush by the raptors. That being said, there's the one raptor that's kind of just like making eye contact with him.
Yeah.
And then when he's attacked by the ones from the side, it's like, is he not hungry? Is he not going to get in on this now? Why is he just still sitting there?
No, they were working as a team.
In Jurassic... Right. Yeah. He should get in on it. There's one kill, though, in the initial Jurassic Park that drives me crazy. We don't see it. We see that it has happened, and that's Samuel L. Jackson's Ray Arnold.
Yeah, good point.
All we see of him is his arm kind of like weirdly plopped down on Ellie's shoulder after she gets the power breakers back up. How was the arm like that? Where's the rest of his body?
Right.
Drives me absolutely up the wall thinking about how he died and how that arm possibly had come down like that. Because this is one of the more horror moments, right? In the first Jurassic Park. But it's ludicrous. It's so silly that I'm disappointed, because Ray Arnold deserved to be seen killed,
He did. And like in most horror movies, if you see just an arm, it doesn't necessarily imply death.
Right.
I mean, it's not going to help, but yeah, you almost need, I mean, implied death in horror does't always work.
No, it definitely didn't there, because what the hell is that arm doing up there? It wasn't even by the circuit breakers. It was in this whole other area.
That's right. Like someone was like playing with him.
Up. Yeah. It wasn't on the ground. It was in a position where it could plop down and seem like he was grabbing her shoulder. Bothers me to this day. That's one of the biggest flaws of that first movie. You want to jump to Lost World kills?
Yeah. I'm just remembering.
Do you have a favorite?
I'm trying to remember character names. In Lost World,
again for this one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Is in Lost World, is it not Peter?
Peter Ludlow is our main big bad.
Okay.
He is
then
the nephew or the grandson of John Hammond.
That's right. Then that's my favorite.
Inherited InGen.
That's my favorite because He it's like the T-Rex sets up the baby for success on that one by
Yes.
crunching his legs.
It's teaching the baby.
Yes.
Again, it's not necessarily about people as food. It's more about these dinosaurs teaching. You know, it's they're using their brain, and you know if it's the baby that's going after him and he's never killed before, he ain't going straight for the neck. So this not poor Ludlow. Ludlow is an asshole. Ludlow is gonna get eaten alive by this baby raptor. Who's you remember the like skull of that thing is very boxy. It's not gonna be like nice tears of skin out of him. It's gonna be gonna be like gnawing on Ludlow.
Chomp until I get something going here.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most gruesome death. I wish we saw more of it.
Right.
But I think close runner up then is our compies killing Dieter, you know, one of our villains from Fargo. I love that.
Oh yeah,
so great.
Oh, with all the there's a really great behind the scenes video of that online.
Oh really?
Where they're testing it out and all the. Oh man, it's great. Look it up if you haven't seen it.
Those weren't animatronics, right? Those were all CGI.
No, I think those were animatronics on him.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Because that's what the video is. They're testing all these, and they're wiggling, that's and cool. he's basically just testing out how would I move with all these old dinosaurs on me. Yeah.
Wow.
Check that out.
One thing I always love about Lost World too is, granted, the kid doesn't die, but the opening sequence there is one of the opening sequences in the novel. You have a girl that's attacked by a compy on a beach with her family.
Right.
They're not quite as rich as this family, their boat and stuff. But that's really kind of like what sets up the mystery of whether, essentially the impetus for everyone to go to the island is this girl is bit by compies, and then they find just a partial cadaver of a compy, and some people think it's just like this regular lizard, and other people are like, wait a minute, this is something different, which ultimately leads them all to go to the island to see if dinosaurs have escaped. And of course Ian Malcolm's like, of course they've escaped, that's inevitable, they've escaped. But in the book, you gotta talk about my favorite death in the book, even though it's really morbid, and it's right at the beginning. It's when the babies in Costa Rica, in kind of rural areas of Costa Rica, are just getting killed left and right by these compies, specifically going into their crib and just eating the babies alive.
That's terrifying.
Oh my gosh. They have one really, really descriptive graphic scene of a baby just, its face gets just like chewed off. It's pretty gross, but you know, good horror. Eating on the baby.
It's
those are the most notable deaths though in that one, I would say. I'm trying to think. Eddie Carr ripped in half by the T-Rexes, the mama and papa T-Rex. Gruesome, but at least he went quick. You know he's done. To me, a scary death is one that lasts.
Absolutely.
And
Eddie
Carr was such a good guy. I'm glad he went quick. You got the character trampled by the T-Rex. Oh, another good one is because there's a fear factor there. When they're behind the waterfall and the T-Rex's tongue comes in. Because that's a callback to the book too. Tim and Lex deal with a very similar situation where they're behind a waterfall and the T-Rex's tongue is like lapping at them. So that definitely at least called that back. I always wanted to see that scene in a film because it's so well written in that book. Who else? Ambush. Oh, you got a bunch of people ambushed in the like tall grass by the raptors. Those raptors in Lost World were not scary to me. They seemed too CGI.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It seemed like they were just hungry. It wasn't necessarily like the raptors in that first one who were killing for fun, you know? It seemed like this was... And with the daughter of Ian Malcolm, she was such a terrible character. I don't know if you remember. She was very overacty. Compared to the kids in the first one, who I love, and I'm kind of annoyed that they didn't at least get a little payday beyond that first.
Seriously, that could have been great callbacks. Yeah,
I know. I guess the girl who plays Lex went to the premiere of it, but she doesn't even act anymore. She's a painter. I guess a really renowned painter. But the kid, Joseph Mazzarella, he wants to act.
Yeah, come on, give this guy.
He wasn't even at the premiere. I like that dude. It's kind of bummed for him. You want to jump to 3?
Sure.
Deaths in 3, baby. Okay, so we start with a death. We start with a couple deaths, actually. There's the people that die on the boat as they are parasailing around the island.
That's
You got
right.
Ben Hildebrand
That's right.
and his son-in-law, right? He's remarried to Tay Leone, and he's taking this kid out on a little Dylan sightseeing tour. But then something kills the dude in the boat, which doesn't make any
They
sense.
don't show
to
it.
begin
Yeah.
with. How the hell does somebody die in the boat? Which is kind of a callback to the end of The Lost World, where it's like, who killed everyone on the boat that crashes into San Diego?
Right.
There's no explanation for how those people died. And that's always driven me crazy too, because the T-Rex was pinned up. So unless there was also raptors on that boat, how the hell is everyone dead, including like one arm that's like just hanging on to the wheel of the boat? It's like,
That's
what?
a great point.
Another weird arm moment. I think it was a callback to the Arnold one. But you got this guy, so they kind of their boat driver gets killed. Then they crash into the island. They parasail down, and then it's not found out till later that the man, Ben Hildebrand, he dies. How does he die? Because the kid obviously is able to get out there, and he's the whole impetus for them to go there and save him. But he's just found as a skeleton found on the tree, and it's only been 6 weeks or something.
Yeah, something
And he's already
really
a skeleton.
licked the bones clean.
Yes. The question is, did he get killed on the fall? I'm assuming that was it. Why didn't the kid take him off of that harness?
Right.
And at least try to bury him, because the kid did seem like that would be something he would consider doing, not just let him be left there. I found that strange.
Unanswered questions.
Too many unanswered questions in there. I mean, Jurassic Park 3 is just shit show across the board. And I'm trying to think of like the most gruesome death, and I can't really think of one. They're all pretty like quick and boring. The only sort of one is when Udesky is kind of used as bait by the raptors, and they can tell because they're hiding up in the tree, and then they got this guy down there who's still alive, and when the raptor realizes that the people realize that they're drinking him, they just go and like snap his neck. Don't eat him, just snap it real quick. It's like, oh, okay, you know what we're trying to do to you,
right?
But other than that, maybe
Cooper
Nash, who was pulled out of the plane, the wreckage, because he got a couple chomps from that Spino.
Yeah, the Spino kills Cooper first, right? Because I remember Alan
kills Cooper first,
like,
but that's a quick one.
Yeah, that's kind of like how this movie goes. Like everything is too quick.
Yes, yes, and as is notorious that this had so many remakes as it was being filmed. It's supposed to be a whole different movie. So it was a cash grab, which sucks because I love Alan Grant so much.
Then they brought him back for a bomb.
And I like the Billy character too. It's just there wasn't enough development between those two. You know, it had like that father-son. You're supposed to kind of get the vibes of, okay, Alan has kind of become a father figure later in life, despite the fact that he's not with Laura Dern, because she's in that one too briefly. Essentially saves the day, but the way it's saved is so ridiculous. The next thing you know, after Alan is able to get a hold of her via the walkie-talkie on the mainland, which I don't understand how that was made. But then just like the whole army is on the beach.
Yeah.
As the raptors were about to kill them, but don't, because they respect their intelligence, because they had their egg, but then gave them back the egg. And it was just shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think you don't need to be sorry.
I liked the pterodactyl stuff.
Correct.
It was not great, but it was different and fun and did bring new spice to it.
Yes. That could have been a lot more of it. The cages up in the
when the kid was dropped amongst the babies, that was scary.
Yeah.
That to me, when we're talking about horror moments, it's just the idea of the kid being, pecked to death by baby pterodactyls. Just that inference was horror. But when I'm thinking about other horror moments in Jurassic Park 3, what do we got? Just the Spino's territorial pursuit, maybe. And Udesky being used as bait by the raptors. Otherwise, there's like no horror in it.
Yeah.
The first one, so much horror. The second one, not half as much, but at least
it
moments
included some. Correct. The third one gave up.
The horrific moments in Jurassic Park 2: Lost World to me is just seeing the T-Rex running through the forest like it's Jaws.
Yeah.
Like it's Jaws through the water. Just seeing these T-Rex run back toward the camper was maybe the scariest moment in that second one. I can't say that any moment in Jurassic Park 3 was scary at all.
Agreed.
Okay, Jurassic World. Let's get these last two let's get these last two wrapped up
Well,
here.
Jurassic World to me really took things to the next level as far as and I forget the name of the dinosaur in the tank. The
Mosasaurus.
Yes. Terrifying.
Yes.
Terrifying. The size of it alone. I mean, and they also, there's some callbacks in Dominion just about like size. At the very end when they're showing you the dinosaurs living with other animals, they show the
Mosasaur with the whale snuggling up.
Yes. And the scale is ridiculous on how large it is. Now, I will say it's a great death scene, but it's also probably not as, terrifying because you're just being like swallowed whole.
Okay, you're talking about Zara Young, who's essentially the babysitter.
Correct.
And this is one of the moments in the whole series where you have someone who's an innocent get killed brutally.
Well, that
picked
whole
up
sequence.
By the pterodactyl.
Yes.
That's the best sequence in that whole movie.
It really is.
Certainly the most horrific. Picked up by the pterodactyl.
Yeah.
And then dropped into the mosasaur pen.
Yes.
Or pool.
Pool. Tank.
What's scary about the mosasaur is that if you've done any research on what's going on inside of them, they have serrated bellies.
Okay,
so like
didn't know
when
that.
she gets dropped in there, she's getting completely shredded immediately.
Like a garbage disposal.
Yes. Second she's swallowed, her entire body is just ripped apart. And yes, she was kind of annoying and annoyed that she had to watch the kids, but she didn't deserve to go.
No, I was going to say that's not a reason to to kill someone off.
We needed that though. We do need some deaths.
Yes. And it was more impactful when it was a character that we just got to know a little bit.
True. Yes, I think it was more impactful because it did break the cardinal rule.
Yeah.
Which makes me want to jump really quick to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom because there was another character, a la Zara, that was supposed to die. There's a deleted scene of her death, but they didn't put it in there because they felt like it would have been too, it was the nanny, essentially. It was the old lady who was in charge of watching Maisie.
Yeah.
She was supposed to get Indoraptored to hell. But they cut that scene, and all you get to see her is get fired by Ken Wheatley, or not Ken Wheatley. What's this guy's name? Ken Wheatley is played by Divine, who's our villain in Silence of the Lambs, which is very cool. But I can't find this guy's name. Oh, Eli Mills, who ultimately he gets a really easy death too. He's torn in half, a la Eddie Carr, between the Carnotaurus and the T-Rex.
That's right.
Too good of a death for him. He deserves something a little.
Deserved some limbs ripped off.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom had the most deaths by far. Especially if you're including dinosaur deaths.
Sure. That's a whole other topic.
Too.
Yeah.
Yes. That one definitely had the most. What did you think about Vic Hoskins? So Vincent D'Onofrio is our killer in the first Jurassic World. Did he get his comeuppance proper?
Oh, I would need a refresher on the scene.
He gets so at the end, shit's going haywire, and he gets initially he tries to do the Owen Grady thing of putting out your hand to the raptor to control it, and he gets his hand chomped down immediately, and then it's just implied that he's shredded. I like that he got his hand chomped like that, and then that was kind of a callback to Delacroix in this new one too, where Delacroix was a callback to him. But he was such a dick that I wanted him to get even more thrashed.
That's where this, I think Jurassic Park as a whole, since the first one needed to do a better job of, being a little bit more horrific and less
PG-13 though. This is the problem.
I know. That's what I'm saying is that they probably just all needed to be rated R.
If they do a series, I mean, think about the popularity of Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones has comparable animals with the dragons.
Mm-hmm.
So much more horrific. Equally as popular as Jurassic Park, I would say, right? So if you give us a series on Peacock or HBO or whatever the hell, it really goes to town on what these things can do, I'd be happy. Because in the book, there's this juvenile T-Rex, not like in Lost World, but it's like a couple years old. It's like size of a man, and the way that thing takes down people and kind of plays with them like a cat almost is really horrifying. Certainly, the books are 1,000 times better than any of the movies. But there's no PG-13 rating on the book, so that doesn't make sense.
Right.
What do you think about all this blue business and making dinosaurs like humans? Did that work for you?
No, no, it did not. No, I mean, I
Me neither.
understand that it was just like the one. That, I mean, it could have been much worse if like he was able to, to communicate with more of them. But no, I don't. I mean, and especially the storyline where him, I, I promised I'd bring her baby back.
Right. I was glad that they left Blue behind. They didn't like bring her with.
Correct.
You know,
That would have been like, you're coming with us.
right.
Pack your.
That would have been terrible. But yeah, I think that just took away from the seriousness of the film. I don't like
I agree.
dinosaurs being sympathized. I mean, I think, as you put it, Ian Malcolm really made light of that so well.
Yes.
And then finally, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the new big addition to this new movie, the Gigantosaurus, which we never talked about.
Right.
What did you think about this new big boy?
I think it was reminiscent of some other fight scenes with the T-Rex in
Right, Spino.
Yes,
Jurassic Park.
correct.
It was lackluster.
Yeah,
Say it.
yeah.
And it was reminiscent of Jurassic Park 3, and then it just felt like a gimmick to say, okay, there's bigger and better.
I mean, that scene too, where they're all trying to like escape. You've got the T-Rex walking around in the background, does a little profile silhouette to show you the logo. I thought that was unnecessary.
Yeah, it was fan service though. That's what this whole new movie was. It was just pure fan service. So in that sense, I'm gonna forgive it.
It was a really funny moment too, where the T-Rex, it was basically like a boxing scene where the T-Rex is like up against the quote unquote ropes, knocked out.
A rope-a-dope.
Yeah. And then uses the...
And tripped him into that Tyrannosaurus's Freddy Krueger claws.
Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, it was silly.
It was a bit silly.
But, again, it was a callback to how the raptor dies in the first one, getting thrown into the dinosaur skeleton by the T-Rex.
That's true.
And
yeah,
then
stabbed.
In Fallen Kingdom, you have Blue fighting the Indoraptor, and they both crash through that glass ceiling, and then the Indoraptor falls into the horns of the Triceratops.
Right, it's impaled by the horns, yeah.
So it's kind of fun that they were really playing with what was, but at the same time, I am really ready for new angles on this series.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's where it left me.
I think I was just a little tired of making the dinosaurs clever, you know? Pun intended, clever girl. But I mean, this boxing scene, it was too thought out. Like, how is that T-Rex, who has the smallest brain ever, able to to come up with this plot? We just need dumb, vicious dinosaurs.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
They need to go back to the basics. And enough of these hybrid nonsense.
Yeah, come on. I mean, the reason that Blue was able to have babies because they used the same DNA. I mean, okay, yeah, but we didn't need Blue to have a baby. You could have just kidnapped Blue.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. But nevertheless,
I
was very excited going to see it, and I didn't hate it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I thought it was... Yeah, more of like a thrill ride action movie, but I was hoping for it to be more of a
100% more horror
movie like the original.
Oh well. I think
we'll get him next time.
The shit out of this one.
Hey, we can only hope.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Yeah, and we can only hope.
Only hope what?
That somebody listens to us and does a TV series.
Yes, I feel like it's an inevitability. You do a prequel of this, and you're gonna hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
Watching them fail, like Alien Resurrection style, getting some like mutant dinosaurs to begin with before they start succeeding.
All right.
Seeing Wu, like as he is in the book, is really smart dude that Hammond kind of poaches. What's beautiful about the novel is they really go into the backstory of all of these characters that are so peripheral.
Yeah.
But are there. Like Harding, I don't remember in the first movie, Harding is the guy there with the Triceratops who's talking about, well, we don't think they eat these berries.
Yeah, right.
He is actually the guy who gets eaten by the T-Rex in the bathroom in the book.
Gotcha.
It's not Gennaro. It's not the lawyer. So And the lawyer has such a huge, interesting part in the book too. Gennaro is a much more fleshed out character.
Well, that's ultimately the problem. Is you've got this fantastic book with really well developed characters, and then you put them into a movie, and you can't really flesh them out like you want
series,
to.
You can do it though.
You could do
series, you could do it. It should be amazing.
All right, make a series, people.
Do it. But until then, stay alive.